Look at him. He's already smiling. He's all eager. He has been bouncing since we logged onto the Zoom. You're just bored?
Supportive. Supportive.
Okay. I thought you said bored. I was like, geez, man, we just started the podcast.
Nope.
All right. Name of this podcast.
In this edition.
Yeah, there's not, though. This is a jam-packed, hopefully respectable of the size of the magnitude of the week in terms of a podcast as well. I think we did a nice job, or will attempt to do a nice job, per usual. Attempt is the emphasis. The name of this podcast is called Stuff Summer Says with Steve. And we got a pretty big, important football game to talk about this weekend. That is Penn State's game against Oregon, which is the whiteout, which is, quote unquote, the greatest show in college sports, trademark. And in that conversation, we also, or among that conversation, we will have another conversation with Charlie Dammeyer, who is the coordinating director for NBC Sports. What that means is he is the man basically directing the NBC broadcast that you will see Saturday night. And we dove into a lot of fun, nerdy things during the course of our conversation with him today. And we really appreciated his time because it was a great interview. So take a listen to that. We're going to then, of course, talk about the whiteout, talk about the game, a little bit of everything there. We also have our sponsors quiz results. And I can't say I'm too surprised, but I'm also not surprised. All right? It's a technical term. I'm on fire, you see. Good energy flowing here today, folks. Listen to our interview with Charlie, and we'll be back after this. Steve, these are the types of guests that I get particularly fired up about because this is the type of guest that I think is most interesting. Our guest today, a very topical guest for the week, is Mr. Charlie Dammeyer. He is the coordinating director at NBC Sports. What that means to you, the viewer, is that he is the man directing Saturday night, Big Ten Saturday night. Charlie, how are you?
I'm well. Yourself?
Good. Charlie, I want to start here. You've done the Olympics. I saw you've done NHL stuff. You do college football, but have you been to a whiteout?
We have never, NBC has never done a whiteout. We have done the helmet stripe game before, but have never done, this will be our first whiteout.
Okay. How do you, those are the Olympics, some of the NHL events are big time events. This is a hallmark event for a lot of Penn Staters, but I think for college football holistically, how do you show reverence as a director at NBC for the whiteout?
I think exactly what you said. It is special, and certainly to Penn State fans, and I think nationally too. Right, it's a great tradition in college football. I think we lean into at NBC the traditions at every school, specifically the Big Ten, in our package. And I think it's important to lean into those traditions that each school has. Obviously, at Penn State, I would say that this is the biggest one that you guys do. So it's incumbent on us to really lean into them and not shy away from them. And that's what makes college football great, right? Is that atmosphere. You can't fake atmosphere. And when you have it, I really do think the best broadcasts really lean into that and make that part of it, right? The play on the field matters, no doubt about it. But how can you layer in, that scene? And ultimately, you kind of want to walk away from that. And I would think that you'd want to make the audience think like, wow, that's an event that I would want to be at.
How do you go about preparing for the whiteout from your perspective? Are you watching what other broadcasters have done specifically for the whiteout? Just because the whiteout, unlike a lot of other traditions in college football, is almost borderline cinematic, if you will.
Yeah, I know, 100%. Yeah, listen, I've definitely watched previous networks broadcasting a whiteout. We all watch each other's work. I wouldn't say there's anything specific that I would say that, hey, someone else does that we might try to do or something like that. I think what might make this one a little bit different is that, a lot of times wider is better here, right? Like you might see me up top a little bit more with our aerial camera, starting wide, collapsing back into tight. You're gonna have that scene, foreground, background, like exactly what you said. Some of it can be cinematic. And really leaning into, what's going on just off the field, obviously is what's going on the field as well. So it is a combination of that, and we added, a few set of tools to this show that, in our toolbox that will kind of beef up our normal our normal coverage for this one. But you talk about, hey, when did planning start for this? It started as soon as our schedule came out. The spring, and we found out we would potentially get this game, right? Like, it was on our schedule and now that we get closer, obviously we're going to keep this one. But it's that's realistically, that's when my mind started churning a little bit when this became a reality. It's okay, what can we add to enhance this game, right? Because everybody, not just NBC, everybody has this one circled as a big one in the conference. So it's what can we do to enhance this game, and that all started back in the springtime for sure.
What are some of those tools?
What did you add?
Yeah.
What did you decide to do? What are we going to see?
Well, you'll see. You'll see some more cameras. I think we're bumping up to about 14 hard cameras for this one. We're bumping up our super slow-mo complement. So with those cameras, there'll be a couple more angles that'll have super slow-mo capability. We're bringing in a drone for this one. I think what's also unique, specifically to Penn State, is I'm pretty sure this has never been done there. We're bringing in in addition to our SkyCam camera that we have every week, we're bringing in a 2-point system that'll be on the Penn State sideline that'll go 130 yards or so, about 10 to 15 rows deep in the crowd to provide that sideline access, if you will, that is from left end zone to right end zone. That's unique to us, that we've and even at NBC we've never done anything like that in our college football coverage. So we're looking forward to that one.
With the stadium construction, I mean, you talked about in the spring, and that's been happening. How does that affect what you do, where you set cameras? And I mean, from my layperson's perspective, there's no place at the top of the stadium to shoot those fireworks off, right? So that's not going to be a shot. It's going to be different. So what has gone through your mind with that challenge or change?
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we had worked with the school. How does that construction affect what we're doing? So in reality, hey, we certainly knew about it. And we came up there in August at some point before the start of the season, about a week and a half or so before the start of the season, to come take a look at that, right? Like, let construction be what it's going to be, and how does that then affect us, and really get a good snapshot close to the season. So we came up there at the end of August, and looked at that. And in reality, the construction for us, it affects the press box, right? Everything on the near sideline. Our game cameras, which are extremely important, cameras 1, 2, and 3 that every network would shoot a football game with. So we wanted to just see the sight lines for that, right? Like, what's in front of there? Is there any blockage? Did it, what changes? Obviously, the TV booth certainly has changed. Everything's temporary. I think for the next 2 years, I think up there it'll be temporary. And just how is that? Can we fit our show in there? Luckily, our friends at CBS did the first game there, so they took it through a little bit of a dry run, if you will. And we got some feedback from them, and we all talk. So I think it was good for that level of a show, because they're a similar show to ours, going in there and, hey, can they do their show in there? And obviously, they did. And we'll come in and do ours. We'll add a little bit more equipment. But in reality, it's not too much changed. It's a little bit of the infrastructure, mainly all on the near side. But everything else that we've done in the past there, and other networks have done in the past there, has remained the same. So in reality, it's really 4 cameras and our TV booth. That's the way to look at it. What's different.
Okay, thanks.
The other aspect of the whiteout is the crowd noise. And you mentioned that. What types of systems, what types of things are you doing to kind of make sure that you bring that experience into the home viewer?
Yeah. Listen, our A1 is Randy Pekich, and we've really kind of challenged him a little bit in the last couple seasons as we evolve here now, from season 1 to season 2 to season 3, and really kind of put the emphasis on him to challenge him, right? So, our producer, Matt Marvin, and I kind of got together and the group of us and said, hey, we really want to, like I said, the visuals are all there. Okay, what accompanies the visuals? Well, it's audio. And it's, how can you make you feel like you're there? Okay, we want to incorporate the band. We want third downs. We want to hear that in the mix of our show. So in addition to, you're right, all the crowd noise, it's crowd noise with band, and all that is encompassing into our submix. So you'll certainly hear that. It'll be at full throat. Good thing is that we really don't have to change much of what we do. Oregon will have to change a lot of what they do to deal with the crowd noise.
That makes sense. You mentioned you're in year 3 of the NBC contract. I forgot that the first Big Ten NBC broadcast was the Penn State West Virginia game. But I was watching the broadcast.
I wrote that story.
You did.
Thanks for paying attention.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Oh, nice.
I was watching the Illinois-Indiana game this week, and it really feels like you guys are starting to find your voice with the Big Ten. How has that developed and evolved over time in the last 3 years?
Well, listen, I think it starts any broadcast, any good broadcast would start with your TV booth, right? We've got Noah Eagle on our play-by-play and seasoned veteran Todd Blackledge doing our analysis, and Catherine tapping down on the sideline. So I think any good show starts with that, right? You got to have a good base with that because they're the voice of your show. And you mentioned, hey, finding your voice. Okay, well then you kind of work from top to the bottom, and we comes down to us in the truck then to match their level. When they're on. We should be on, and the whole show should be on. But it's in reality, it's using them as our kind of North Star, if you will, as our guiding light. And they'll take us to places where we should go in the broadcast. And then again, sometimes the truck may take them places to where we want to go. But in reality, it's I'm glad you say that because we do feel like we're kind of hitting our stride a little bit. And listen, we nitpick everything, and everything can be better, just like a team and a coach would do. We are constantly finding ways to improve our show and do little things better and keep getting better. So I'm glad you say that. But we're not at full stride yet. So
that's going to be really good when you get there. Cause I think we are, I don't know. I think we think you're already the best at what you do, but maybe.
And I will say our fans,
if I had my choice of where you'd be watching a game on NBC.
And our fans rate you guys always consistently the highest of the broadcasters. So.
Well, I appreciate that, and like I said, we're just trying to get better at every game.
Charlie, you said 14 cameras. What's that up from a normal game?
Typically on a normal Saturday night game, we're at about 10 hard cameras. So we're like I said, we're adding in 4 more hard cameras for this show, and that 2-point system. So in reality, we're up about 5-man cameras, if you will, for this game. Plus, we're the line to game pylon cameras will be in this game as well. So it's this will be our highest compliment in terms of technical facilities this season for us.
And your team, how many people are on your team? Like, how many people will be in State College this weekend to make that broadcast possible?
I'd have to look at the full list, but I'd say it's probably 120 to 130 human beings on the ground from representing NBC this weekend in State College.
And do you know when you're having a good game or when you get a shot? Like, what's that feeling like for you when you capture the shot you want Saturday night to open the game and then cut away from it? Are you busy enough that you don't notice that, or when do you notice? Okay, we're getting this. This is what we want it to look like.
Listen, I tend to notice maybe some of the bad things that I do more than the good things. So the mistakes, or what could be considered a mistake, those linger with me way more than some of the better shots and things like that. But no, listen, when every once in a while you'll have a great shot, I think to me is a challenge, certainly for a director, is, hey, we just mentioned all the equipment that I have, or that we have. I think it's important to know that what you have right in front of you. Sometimes we may be looking for the next best shot when the shot that you have right in front of you is the best shot. So I always say practice patience, right? But it's listen. Sometimes those shots come out, right? I think naturally sometimes in college football it's the shots that might make you laugh a little bit. Sometimes a student, a couple of them that come to mind are the dejected students, right? Like college kids, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids tend to wear their emotions a little bit more than professional fans, maybe a little bit. And just seeing those shots sometimes with the kids or palms in their face a little bit. So sometimes those shots resonate sometimes as well. But no, like I said, I tend to, I'm hard on myself of some of the shots that I wish I had or that I may have seen that I'm late to. Right, I'm just
Thank you.
What's something about an average broadcast that a average viewer does not appreciate?
You're talking about like NBC show?
Yeah. Just like for you, what is something that is very mundane and you would do in any NBC broadcast, but an average viewer might not realize how cool that is or how hard that is to pull off, something like that?
I think what the average person, and I always say when people take tours and things like that of our TV truck, is really how much goes into it. It's very similar, I would say, to a coaching staff. I don't think people really realize how much goes into that and the preparation that goes into it. In terms of a TV show, it's I would think that it's the chaos. It's the controlled chaos that you don't really see, and it's a good thing you don't see that on television. But it can be chaotic in there. But I think what really resonates for me is that when it's all working together, that audio is on the same pages, videos on the same pages, our replays is on the same pages, our graphics, that all of us together on the same page as our announcers. When it's all working together, that's what I think the common person may not appreciate, because it does. And you had mentioned, hey, you like our show last week at Indiana, and things were going pretty good there for the most part. And when all that stuff's working together, it's okay. You turn on TV, and ultimately people watch these games to be entertained, right? And our job is to tell that story of what's going on the field and entertain folks. So I think that it's what maybe people don't appreciate that we would do every week is, all the stuff that we can do, and how it gets on the air. And to be honest with you, all the stuff that maybe we have planned during the week and all this preparation that ultimately hits the floor, right? Graphics, tape, things like that, the storylines that we may never touch that hit the floor. And then we're just reacting to the game, which I think is for me is the fun and entertaining part.
How do you apply what happens at Indiana per se, and then apply that to what happens during a Penn State game? More or less the same thing, but also different environments, different moments, different things going on. How do you apply those learnings even back from game one, West Virginia 2023 to now?
I think what's unique about college football, or at least my experience with it, is that every stadium and every environment is different, right? Like at Indiana last week, that'll be half the amount of people that we're going to see on Saturday, right? So it's Penn State by nature is bigger. So I think there's things that you can learn and that you can apply from previous games, even in previous games in different stadiums, that, hey, you maybe technique wise that you want to bring over. Here's an example of that. So last week I challenged a couple of our wireless cameras. We carry 2 steady cameras on our show. We had talked about the scene a little bit. Hey, how can we incorporate the scene a little bit more? What makes Indiana maybe a little bit different or challenging, that their student section is actually elevated. So they're a good 12 feet off the field, right? So we have a jib down there that showcases that. But what are other ways that our normal handhelds can't shoot that because they're shooting up at the students? Okay, so what's a different way we could do that? So I ended up sticking a couple of those guys in the crowd a couple of times. And there was a cool shot that we noticed, or that I got in the second half of the band, the Indiana band playing, right? Like from their perspective. Indiana's unique in their right end zone. They have a couple field level suites that you see a lot in the NFL. And so, coming back from break one time, we came back and he's walking out through the suite, and here comes IU coming in ready to score in the red zone. So it's just kind of that shot that maybe, like you talked about, maybe a little bit more cinematic and different things like that. But again, that's unique to Indiana. Now, I'm not going to do anything like that in field level suites because Penn State doesn't have that. So it's maybe some technique wise. Okay, what do we like that we did that we can then apply to Penn State? So, one of the things I can tell you that I'm definitely going to try to do is I like the band shot, right? The perspective of the band. That's what makes college football unique. And it gets back to leaning into those things and how can we show that maybe in a different perspective. So I fully anticipate that, there'll be a camera up near the band. There'll be some cameras maybe in the student section just to kind of show that atmosphere and lean into that all white. Because I think you really can't go wrong with seeing that. Listen, I don't want to overkill it. But that is no doubt about it part of the scene. I think what you take lessons from different sports. And when I used to direct hockey, when we had it, a couple of times a year, we would have the opportunity to do some of the outdoor games, the winter classics, and the stadium series that are typically done in baseball stadiums or traditional football stadiums. And I guess, some learnings that I learned from that is, I would direct that maybe a little bit different than an indoor hockey game, whereas that scene and the, 50,000, 60,000 people behind that is part of that. So, you'd be a little bit wider, like I talked about, and, you would just do things maybe a little bit differently to incorporate that. So, I think week to week and venue to venue changes. And that's what I really enjoy about college football, that it is a challenge. You have to think about it differently, but it's techniques. If you can take the same techniques with you, ultimately that'll help you all the way down the road.
When will you get into town? And then what does your Saturday look like timeline wise? Could you kind of talk us through your day, please?
Sure. Most of our crew will start showing up on Thursday, although some people will travel in on Wednesday. I think our trucks are parking Wednesday evening, so that the crew, for the most part, because we talked about the added equipment to the show, will start setting up on Thursday morning. And also it being a new booth and new construction kind of for us, or within the construction. So maybe a little bit earlier than previous weeks, but crew will start getting there on Thursday. I'll drive up. I'm just south of you guys in Annapolis, Maryland. So I like Penn State games because it's a drive. So I'll head up Thursday morning. We'll have a stadium walkthrough, kind of technically. I think that's at about 1:00 on Thursday. That we'll go and walk all the camera positions. We'll walk all the, just rewalk, even though I've seen it. Hey, Penn State still coming out of the locker room, taking their turn, just so we see that. Oregon's locker room path, when I was there in August, it was still kind of under construction. So we want to re-see that. Okay, where do we want to put cameras back here to capture that? Because that'll be part of our show for sure, showing both teams kind of taking the field. So again, walking all those camera positions, looking at the booth, and Thursday's more of like a technical day, I would say, that you're kind of really dialing in and making sure, okay, the plan that we thought we had in August is the plan that we thought we had 2 weeks ago is still the plan that we have this week. And then on Friday, that really is kind of heavily our meeting day. So we'll meet with Penn State on Friday morning. Don't have the full schedule yet, but we'll meet on Friday morning. Typically is when we do that. We'll meet with a coach and a couple players, and then potentially on Friday as well. Again, don't have that schedule fully yet, but typically we'll meet with the visiting team as well. And then we have some production meetings and different kind of meetings. So we do a sideline meeting with Catherine Tappan and kind of get her stories first. And then we do an editorial meeting with our announcers and part of our crew. And then on Saturday morning, usually at about 10 a.m. or so, that we'll do our full production meeting. So everybody in production gets together and we go over soup to nuts, everything. Hey, here are the storylines we're talking about. Here's the accompanying graphics that we may have. Here's the videotape packages that can help support what we're talking about. And then we'll go over, our producer, Matt Marvin, will go over our format and break structure and things that he's looking to do out of certain breaks. So it's kind of like a last meeting, if you will. So everybody's on the same page. And as soon as that's over, we typically head over to the stadium. The production crew does. Usually I'm there by about noon for a 7:30, 7:45 or so kick. So we're there at about noon, and then we start our full rehearsals at 1:30 in the afternoon on game day. And that we go through a full hour and a half, soup to nuts, everything technically, most everything production wise that we want to see, but go through it's kind of as a football team would do on a Friday walkthrough, right? It's your last chance to really hone in these game plans and special things that we're doing so that everybody's on the same page, right? It's not so much on a production side, we've been talking about it all week, but it's really so that the engineers, that everybody can get on the same page, that we'll do. And then, that takes us to lunch. We eat lunch. Then we have a camera and videotape meeting that Todd Blackledge and Matt Marvin lead, and Andrew Leaf, our replay producer. Again, that's bringing everybody in. This is now more storylines from the top. That it's, things that he's looking for during the game and keywords that, hey, he wants to see here, so that everybody's on the same page. And then we get into it, start rehearsing, and our pregame, I think, usually comes on the air at about 7:00 or so, mixing in with some flavor on the field with us. And then I think we're kicking a little bit later this week. So then we go, and then it's over at about, shortly after 11:00, and we head on to the next city. But that's a typical, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for us.
Thank you. Last one for me, although I could ask questions all day because I'm so curious about structure. When do the shots become yours? Like if I'm watching pregame and then there's a kickoff, at what point the pregame is not you, but then the game becomes you in terms of determining what I see or not? Like, how does that play out?
Yeah. So we at NBC, like I said, at about 7:00, we have a pregame show. That Jordan Cornette, Mike Robinson, and Matt Castle will be on site in State College, and that's from State College, but directed back in Stamford, Connecticut. Ryan Burke and Jared Sumner, our producer and director back in Stamford, that do that show. And so hey, they have a studio component back there, but obviously they're incorporating the live component in State College, so they produce and direct that. The facilities come through our truck, but those aren't necessarily, the game truck pictures. So all those signals are flowing through our truck, but that's ultimately produced and directed back in Stamford, Connecticut. And then in reality for us, when we get it is when they kind of sign off the air, and it's pretty apparent when that happens, and they hit a commercial break. for a couple minutes, and then we take it out. Typically, and again, it can change week to week, but typically the first thing on the air for us is our Fall Out Boy kind of musical open, and that's kind of when you would start seeing our game truck pictures.
Thank you.
Charlie, my last question is a tough one, I think. I see your Chesapeake Bay map behind you. I hear you're from Annapolis. I live in Frederick. I want to know, where is your go-to place for a good crab cake?
Ooh, that is a tough one. Well, I would say you got to go across the bridge to the Eastern Shore on Kent Island. There's a restaurant over there called the Narrows that I think has, I won't say it's the best. I'll call it a top 3 crab cake. But in addition to that, they have a phenomenal cream of crab soup over there that I will say is the best out of anything that I've had. But it's on Kent Island, just across the bridge. It's called the Narrows, but it's a phenomenal spot for crab cakes and the crab soup. But I'm not ready yet to crown a crab cake champion. I'll give you a couple, but it's not. I can't necessarily give you a champion.
Narrow it down. I appreciate that, Charlie. How can people find the broadcast this weekend? What should they know, kind of, as we say goodbye here?
Yeah, listen, I think it'll be a phenomenal game. It'll be certainly, we've talked about, a phenomenal atmosphere. Two of the top teams, certainly in the Big Ten battling. It's on NBC. It's starting at 7:00 with our pregame coverage. So you can get that also on Peacock for the streamers out there. But we're looking forward to it. Like, we've had this one circle. We talked about this, when the schedule came out in May. This is a big one. We're going to approach it maybe 95% like we would any other game, right? Because it is another game, and then we'll layer in some of these bells and whistles on top of it. But ultimately, we're leaning into the play that's on the field, the atmosphere around it, and our phenomenal booth. I mean, those things come together. If the play on the field matches, our play in the truck, and our play in the truck matches the play on the field, then everything should be cooking on Saturday night.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Charlie.
All right. Appreciate it.
Steve, in terms of interviews that we've done, that was one of my favorites, just because of how nerdy and us it was, that we got to pick somebody's brain that has some serious power when it comes to the enjoyment of college football.
And how good he was, right? I mean, if you've listened to the interview with Charlie, tell your friends to listen to it before they watch the game, right? And it's gonna help them appreciate what happens, right?
Yeah.
There's just so much. There's stuff that I've been doing for 30 years that I kind of knew in covering TV sports that he just helped validate. He went a little coach speak early on. We talked about, on another network, I watched what they did. Like, he didn't name the network, and then he talked about sharing stuff with CBS, and I mean, everything from the numbers of cameras and the logistics and the day. He was good. I appreciate him sharing the time, and thanks to the NBC folks for making him available. I think that's good stuff. I think that makes you a better person watching the game, knowing how they go about their job.
Yeah, I think one thing that you and I both kind of remarked at is how early they get there. I thought that was pretty interesting on game days, and how involved that process is. Not just on game days, but I mean, they're doing stuff Thursday, Friday, pretty much sounds like all day to kind of lead up into that point. And I think that's interesting. I did think it was unique and neat to hear, watching game film, to your point, understanding what other companies are doing with the whiteout, but also what other companies and brands are doing during the season, and seeing that idea. I think one of the things we talked about with Charlie there was the fact that NBC is really finding its voice in this college, in the Big Ten package in particular. And I think they've really, even when they were very good back in 2023, they are a mile better. Particularly watched the game on Saturday night and thought that they're finding their groove, and that comes through. And I appreciate the work ethic that you can kind of see and hear from Charlie there as well, that goes into that.
And the night game, something I really hadn't thought about until he talked about doing a full-fledged rehearsal before the game, like everything through what they're going to do. If you're another network and your game's kicking at noon, you don't have as much chance to do that, right? Unless you do it Friday and whatever else. And my assumption would be they don't. Fox may not, or somebody else that kicks off at noon may not, right? So you have a luxury at 7:30 to be able to do those things that others don't. So you should be a little better. But yeah, I think that's, why they're good, because he's committed, treats it as a team, and it reflects in what they do.
Yeah. No, thought that was a great conversation. All right, let's dive into the festivities. 7:30ish. We didn't quite get the kick time out of them there, but we almost did. 7:30ish. Penn State will play Oregon in the whiteout on Saturday. You asked an interesting question. I don't think we've discussed this topic on the podcast, but you were pretty fired up about this at one point. So can you ask that question? You've been pondering quite literally all
is
summer.
This the entertainment or tradition question?
You said event or tradition. Yes.
Event. Yeah. So is the whiteout an event or a tradition? And I think I'm hedging my bets because, or I'm hedging my answer because it's come. But to me, it's an event. It's existed. The program's been around for 130 years. 1986 was 100 years, I think. 100th anniversary.
Sounds right.
Football. So there have been 18 full stadium whiteouts in that time. Granted, there's been a lot of stuff. Sure, it's an event that has become. It is a marketing device. It is something that changed. It certainly changed the tenor of Penn State football. Certainly. I wrote for the Collegian years ago about the quietest 87,000 people in a college stadium multiple times. That was one of my favorite lines because Penn State fans, the wave would start in the student section. It would come around to the west stands and just die. People would be like, get that wave out of here, right? They couldn't even agree to do that. So the whiteout has changed the perception of Beaver Stadium and the power of the fans. But I guess if I had to pick one or the other, is it an event or a tradition? I would still lean more event than program tradition.
I think this is an accidental old guy, young guy. Because to your point, you have been alive for, how old are you now?
50-something.
Okay,
we've
lost track.
Computer have to do,
okay,
but yes.
That's fine. I have my calculator here if you want it.
Look up.
Okay, so that's 13% of Penn State football seasons that have had a whiteout in them on the calculator. Okay. We're going to call it 57, I think. So 1850. That's 31% of the football seasons that you've been alive for that have had it. Okay.
Okay. Yep. That's about right. About a third. Yep.
Sorry, let me just, even though this is pretty basic math, that's 56% of the football seasons that I've been alive for.
So for you, it's more like a tradition.
Correct.
Yep.
And I think...
wow, we took a long way to get there.
Uh-huh.
With calculators, too.
Yeah, well, I wrote down some other things I'm going to come back to. We had a good... I remember this summer we had a conversation about this. And I feel like it has become a tradition for my generation because one thing that we've always talked about, it is not an every game thing. It is a genuine signifier of this is the biggest game, your biggest game of the season.
Yep.
And I think to me, I kind of with the bye week last week, I kind of not forgot about Penn State football, but you kind of go into your bye week comatose where you can kind of focus on a couple other things. But then we had our interview with Charlie today, and then we're now sitting here and it's this is the first time all season that I've been genuinely excited because you get to kind of both kick off a real season as we talked about last week, but also it's the biggest showcase, the biggest show in town in the country on Saturday night, and it's a cool thing to be a part of. So. I think it's become a tradition because of all of that, plus the fact that for a guaranteed fact that's the one game you're supposed to lose your voice at. It's the one game that you're supposed to stand to, which James Franklin brought up today in the press conference. It's this one thing that in a lot of ways it's still this even if it has become quote unquote corporate, right? And we talk about Penn State becoming corporate. We're going to go through a quiz about corporate sponsors. It's still relatively organic. Nobody is forcing everybody to wear the white shirt. But yet, everybody is wearing the white shirt. And I think that's what's so cool about it. And I think it's kind of one of the things I was thinking about with football season in particular. And I was thinking about this actually related to the Oasis concert. Because it's from 2020 on, we've all kind of been searching for a sense of community. And that's one of the reasons why I think the Oasis shows kind of blew up this year is people were finding this sense of community that they didn't have. And I think with Penn State, this is the showcase of that sense of community for Penn State fans on Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't disagree with any of that. It is a wonderful event that has become a tradition. And they have leaned into it. They have done for all the stuff we nitpick about what the stadium is and isn't, especially during the first 3 preseason games. They figured out how to do fonts and promotions and whatever else. I don't know that I remember a lot of screw ups during the whiteout, like through almost 2 decades of. I mean, again, by that point of the season, they have it figured out. It's the biggest game of the season. If the whiteout was the first game, I'd be worried, honestly. But they have it figured out. They know what they're doing, and there are traditional aspects of it, right? You're going to get certain songs at certain times, that are going to be part of that pregame to get the vibe going. You just know that they're going to be there. So, yeah, for me, it's an event that has become a tradition, and it is pretty much an old guy, young guy in terms of how many of those you've experienced.
Yeah, I think that's, and it would be fascinating to talk to even somebody younger than us that is equally as passionate about Penn State as we are, because I feel like they would also say it's a tradition. I think the other thing
students don't know it. Students know it only as this, right? Like this is their thing.
And I think the other thing is this is never now going away. Like this is always going to be a part of Penn State football. It is very much like the fact that they are called the Nittany Lions or blue white or the chipmunk logo, like all of those things. Like you can't not ever have these a part of the brand. Coaches change, etc. But this is now a part of the brand that has, I would arguably also replaced homecoming in terms of for some people probably has. Yeah.
I mean, I think going back to Charlie's interview, talking about his shot that people will see in the band, and he likes that shot, and he talks about wanting to hear the band as part of the game. We hear that less than we did 5 or 10 years ago, right? And especially during the whiteout. There's not, I don't know how much they're going to deal with to coordinate with athletics, but you hear the band less during the whiteout, I feel. At certain times, you hear music that they're going to pipe in more than the band. So I think that was interesting. Like, I'm thinking about this discussion and what he said earlier, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I was thinking about the other thing that I particularly enjoy about the whiteout is the one game a year where everybody is in their seat by 7:10. Like it's packed. And I think there's the vibe that builds from that from 7:10 until kickoff. Probably one of the coolest experiences. I think the coolest whiteout experience isn't what happens during the game. It is when you walk up your portico and you see everybody wearing white and you're like, oh, right. This I'm a part of something bigger here.
That's true.
Okay. Hi, Guinness. How are you? He's
just got back a little tired.
Doesn't say. Guinness, go get your drink. Okay. I want to ask you game day operations things. One thing we were discussing, fireworks, as a part of, have also become a tradition of the tradition, if you will, particularly for the night games. Interested to see what's different about the game day experience from the whiteout perspective of maybe fireworks. Like, I don't think this is going to happen, but like, sure would be a great time for a drone show, which I think Rutgers and Indiana just had one. Mm-hmm. And I wonder when that is coming to Penn State athletics. I still feel like something's up somebody's sleeve. Maybe with the new lights that were put in. I don't know. Again, this is just all pure speculation.
My heart can't handle it. I'm glad I have to see it on TV. I'm glad to be in a chair. If that happens, my heart, man.
You will find no bigger hater of the lights than Mr. Steve Samsel.
No. When you don't need the lights either, just play games at noon.
You just don't, I don't understand why you don't like them. Like, it's,
I don't know. I think it's a brand thing for me. I think you're better than that. Like, I think you're more, you don't need, in my Penn State world, you don't need that to be special. You just go out and win games.
I was thinking about other things that would be cool for the whiteout. Drone show is up there on my list right now. The other thing that would be cool, which is kind of catching on again, and we talked about this last year, and Coldplay did it with their concerts this year as well. They give you these wristbands, they light up, and then somehow they shoot an infrared signal and it tells this part of the section and this part of the stadium to light up and stuff like that. I think that like find a sponsor and do something like that to add to the value and make a viral moment, right? Penn State football, like, and a lot of those things come organically. Last year it was the squirrel, then it was the LTFI thing with James Franklin. Like, but usually each season has this one or two like big organic moment that comes out of it. If it's too late at this point, probably on Monday night to order all of that stuff. But I implore whoever is listening to this with athletics to help create that.
Will you be disappointed if there's not something like that? Like, you're going to be in the stadium, you're going to be there from 7:10 to 7:30 getting geeked with everybody. Will you be disappointed if there's not something?
No, because I think going back to what I just rambled about for 10 minutes, it doesn't need it. It also doesn't need it. That's the other. That is the, and I will agree with you there. That is the cool part about this, is it's the fireworks added, but the incremental value of that ad was not that much all those years ago, because the atmosphere was still loud.
No, I think the LED lights thing, I if they did the lights thing, this would be the time to unveil it, right? Like, at least a portion of it or whatever. If they did some kind of card thing, right? Although that's just so much labor that I don't think they're going to do. The LED is easier. The card thing, you have to have people put them in the stadium and do that stuff and whatever else. But there's really not an ROI on whiteout itself. And we've sort of talked about this before. You're not selling any more tickets. You're not getting it is about marketing the program and marketing the university. So you're investing in moments. So maybe it would be cool if they said, hey, we know we can't do the fireworks. We can't do the fireworks the same because we're not going to have that facade on the west side. What could we do this year? It'd be cool if there were drones or something with LEDs just to elevate it, because I think the expectation is it's an event, make it an event.
Yeah. No, and I think particularly when you look at this home football season schedule isn't terrible, but when you look at like next year, right? Like USC is the only interesting game that's played in that stadium, and who knows, that might not be that interesting, right? I think like I said, like this is, everything is kind of built up to this in a lot of ways, both from the fan perspective and also from the team perspective. Like, I think this is a kind of not a boiling point, but event horizon of kind of what comes next, if you will. I had another thought. Oh, attendance record. Do you think it'll be broken on Saturday?
They'd be able to say it was, and you wouldn't doubt it as much as you doubted the 109 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Gosh, I guess it could be. I mean, the first one, when it was really big in Nebraska initially, was an error. Like 10 years ago, they double counted people. Like, that's true. They just did, right? So as they figured it out through recent years, I don't know. Like, I don't know if a season when you don't have all your seats and you have temporary seats is when you're going to set the record. But then again, I guess when you get all the seats in, you'll set the record again. So nobody's of the lies people have told me in authority in the past year. That one I wouldn't have as much trouble with as some others. How's that?
That's fair. I think that's fair. The all-time attendance record, the only time 111,000 has been broken, was last year with the Ohio State game. And that Nebraska game you're referencing was all the way back in 2002 when it was 110,753. That was the record.
They're going to have a boatload of recruits in. I mean, like 500 recruits. I mean, if they're counting everybody, it's possible, I guess.
What was the I mean, it was only 500. It was only 500, 600 off from being in the top 10. The 10th highest game was Ohio State 2007, which was 110, 134. And let me go to Steve's spreadsheet. By the way, all of this you can find on a particular blog called StuffSummerSays.com. It's all in the football hub. We've got everything, folks. We have everything out. And we have attendance now. The attendance for said Villanova game was, about 500 people less. Like, I think they'll get. I think this game will appear in the top 10. I feel like it, quote unquote, can't. But then there's this like part of me that's like, obviously, like, you can't do this. But like, does the attendance almost change based on how the game is going?
I would say, what's the value of announcing the attendance number in the middle of the third quarter when you're up by 3 or down by 3, right? Like, there's some value in that. Ladies and gentlemen, you are part of the largest crowd ever at Ben Beaver Stadium history, blah. People go nuts, and you get some more juice in the stadium for free, whether it's a realistic number or a, manufactured number.
I think it will
again,
be relatively realistic this time.
Right.
Just to be clear.
It's going to be much more realistic than Villanova, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm not dismissing it. Like, go ahead. Whatever you sell. And I don't think anybody's in there counting every person to check you. So as long as it's not crazy. I think you get more easily agreeable when you don't do 109 for Villanova. Or at least you say tickets sold 109 for Villanova in the stadium 106, right? And then you get a little more comfort for something like this one. But nobody cares.
Yeah, except for us. Okay. The game itself. Any thoughts about the game itself?
I said they were going to go 12-0. I could see how someone would be uncomfortable with that thought, having seen how the teams have played to this point. But Penn State teams under James have played to their opponent. Realistically, they haven't really laid an egg in a big game. They've lost big games when they were close. So I think Penn State's. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't know. Like I don't know. Like there's a little more doubt creeping in. But I was so positive at the start of this season because everybody was positive. Now there's more doubt from other people, and I'm just reading what the media tells me. The quarterback needs to play better for Penn State.
Yes, I think I think that is what. I don't know if that's what Saturday boils down to, but I will feel much better if Drew Aller plays. I can't really think of a particular game. USC Drew Aller, I guess, would be a good one.
I mean, that's the scary part. I don't know how much there is left to be there, right? Like we've seen what he is behind center and during on plays when he moves from behind center. And I don't know, like that's probably the part that scares me the most.
I just hope they don't get too cute. That's the only thing I don't want to see. And it's not that they necessarily have, but I think when they played Ohio State last year or they played Michigan in previous years, like they've kind of played to them and tried to match them, and I think that was why we saw the Ohio State game play the way it did last year. So I'm interested to see how that goes this time around.
Does Penn State have to start quickly, or prevent Oregon from starting quickly in terms of the fans and all those people?
I think you have to. I don't know that you have to prevent them from starting quickly per se, but I think if you do start quickly, you get the quote unquote just avalanche of momentum on your side very quickly. I would not. I haven't looked at this, and sometime I want to sit down and like look at this. I'm curious how many times James Franklin at home has taken the ball when he's won the toss, as opposed to when he is away. And because I think if Penn State goes on offense first, you actually weirdly always take the crowd out of it. I think people want Penn State to be on defense for. People are excited to yell and lose their voice. Let them do that. And I know that sounds weird.
That's what they're there to. No, that's what they're there to do. And honestly, if the offense goes 3 and out, you're like, wah, and here we go, right? And it's
correct.
If the defense gives up not even a quick score, if they give up a little bit of a drive, you're like, okay, they're just settling in. It's going to be fine. And you talk yourself into still screaming and yelling. If the offense comes out and does something stupid, you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what's part of it for being a fan and what makes it fun. So that's going to be great for everyone.
All right. Any other thoughts?
I'm excited to see it. I'm excited for the day. It'll be fun. I've already had people from California, someplace else, reach out and ask if, where we were going to be tailgating, what was going on. So it'll be kind of cool.
What is going on Saturday at around 1 p.m. at your tailgate, Steve?
There's a live broadcast of potentially the best sports podcast, best niche sports cast. Not that X's and O's stuff. Mm-mm. It's stuff that really matters to a fan.
Correct. That's exactly what we are. We are having our first ever, potentially last ever, who knows, live podcast at Steve's tailgate. I asked Steve for a way to phrase where his tailgate is, and then I just pulled the trigger and said, near the greenhouses by the creamery on Curtin Road. That's what you're looking for. It's about 1 p.m. We'll give somebody an award for best sign if you bring a sign. Yeah. Oh, I guess
you stick around. There's chili at 3:00.
Oh, and that's right. And then chili cook-off is at 3:00. Steve, we did forget the fact that game day is in town. Any thoughts there? Who's the guest picker?
I'm glad to see him back on Old Main.
Yes, same. I agree with that.
But I think that's an easier thing to do with 7:30 start than a noon start, right? Because the crowd's going to move. It's an easier thing to do with Fox not being here. The guest picker, I do not know. And as I texted you earlier today, that is the weakest part of the Penn State football program, period, is their depth at guest picker, because there is none. There's none. And I don't even care. I guess if Saquon were available and the team weren't on the road, people would love that, right? But I don't get geeked about. I mean, I'm trying to think of the biggest game day pickers in history, right? And they weren't former players. They're like TV stars and movie people and whatever else, because they're in Austin where they're going to get somebody, or they're in someplace. They had Matthew Tkachuk, right, this weekend in Miami, right? So they have an NHL player who no connection to Miami other than the hockey team plays there. There's just not that. I love, Cale Sanderson being on somebody's short list, but Cale's not going to do this. That's just not him, right? So, and maybe it's Katie, because they can still live on the national championship hype, and they overcame cancer, and they did all that coverage, and they showed the story, and it would resonate, and all the kids in the audience on the old main lawn would not know the women's volleyball team's record this year, nor would they care. Right. It would be there. So there's that, but I don't know if the national audience cares. Not that it matters. I don't know. I think it's the week. Maybe I don't know who I'm missing. I know all the other names that are out there, but I just don't know that there's somebody. The Penn State bench is just not deep at that position. It's just not.
We can get because Keegan Michael Key
stuff, right? Nobody likes Keegan Michael Key. Ty Burrell's an MFA guy. I mean, not that he's not ours, but he's not ours.
Well, and he's an Oregon fan too.
Right.
He's a very noted Oregon fan. It was weird when we went to the Big Ten Championship last year. The conference put him as a Penn State alum, even though most of his ties are with Oregon. I
mean, I could see him with both schools. I could see that, because you'd get a reaction, right? You could introduce him as how he was, and the Penn State fans wouldn't know in general, and then he could say, I could see that one working.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, the one guest picker, no offense to Kajana Carter, but it was Kajana Carter. Do people nationally know who Kajana Carter is?
And I don't know that nationally matters, right? You can trot out 94 people from Oregon. You can find somebody else. You could find, Kerry Collins, right? And the students wouldn't know who he was, except for the fact that they got a 12 in highlights there in blue and white. He must be ours. Well, I'm not to dismiss them, but they don't. So I don't know. I do think it's the weakest thing, and it'll be. I mean, it doesn't matter because Pat McAfee's there. It just doesn't.
That's fair.
I mean, and I after the high dive last week, you got to think people are busting out ideas of what can we do with Pat at the end to do something fun. And I don't know what that would be. I'm almost more anxious for that, to see what they'll do with it.
I feel like they'll just make him eat ice cream or something. Yeah, we didn't talk about the other thing, which would be the Fox not coming thing, which really just is I understand why they're not coming, because they don't have that game, and it seems like the big noon crew travels to where that game is going, right? But at the same time, this might be one of 2 top 5 matchups in conference all season long, or top 10 matchups in conference all season long. You're going to get one more with potentially with Penn State and Ohio State at the end of towards the end of the season, because I don't think Ohio State and Oregon play each other. This is your biggest rights holder. You're trying to make people less angry. Why not go try? And it would only be a try because I think people are angry. And it's just not their DNA. This is who they are. They are producing TV shows. They are there to promote the game that follows them at noon. Sure.
They are not about college football writ large, and that's okay. But don't pretend you are when you're really not, because if you were, you'd be in Happy Valley this weekend. That's all.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to set you up for that rant. All right.
Sorry.
No, you're good. That's good.
Low hanging fruit.
All right. Let's do some quiz results. I'm going to hold on. Let me wrap this text, because I want to do the quiz with you, because I don't know how well you did. How well did you do? Did you take the quiz?
I think I got 8 or 9.
You didn't get them all.
I don't think so.
I'm happy. I'm happy to report that nobody got them all. Nobody is
nice. Nobody got a perfect answer.
No one got a perfect score. We had
good quiz.
Had about 30 people take it, and we had 1, 2. Wait, that's 5 people get it correct. All correct, including my wife, except she missed the extra credit question. So only 4 people.
So there were 4 perfect quizzes.
There were, yeah, but if we count the extra credit, there was no 11 out of 10s. There were only 10 out of 10s with the extra credit. So 9 out of 10s.
Okay.
We'll pick a winner here in a second.
A lot of math in this episode so far.
Yeah. Okay. This question you came up with, which was Pam Health is the official, and the correct answer was
rehab
partner.
place.
Yep.
Yeah,
correct.
and because I could see it on TV. Like, I mean, I was trying to watch as we were talking about this, doing stuff you could see on TV.
The next one was all of the following are some sort of official beverage partner of Penn State, except for
Yuengling.
And Yuengling was the correct answer.
Guess we missed that one.
But 11 people missed that one. Our number one most missed question was this one. Which of the following insurance brands does not have a sponsorship or activation inside of Beaver Stadium? I think this was the one you stumbled with when I gave you the quiz the other night before we posted this.
Maybe so, but Amica is who else are my choices?
Amica, Highmark, Allstate, and State Farm. Those were your choices.
State Farm.
Yes, because
Allstate has the kicking nets, and Highmark is behind the coach, right? Or whatever.
Highmark is somewhere, but they have
right.
multiple. They have an ad that plays. Farm. Amica has it on the field. Yes, correct. Which brand's logo flashes when Penn State picks up a first down?
This is the one I think I missed.
Utz. That's
okay.
The correct one. I think that was maybe you're right. Only one person missed this next question. Which of the following grocery store chains is the tailgate of the week sponsor? And that's Wise. No one missed the next two questions. I really thought somebody was going to miss the bank question. The official or the 2025 Penn State football season is presented by PSECU. And then Steve's incredibly tough question of which planet is an official partner of Penn State.
Stop it.
It's Planet.
Got to give him some gimmies in the quiz.
Do we? Okay.
Clearly we did because nobody got them all right.
Which brand's logo appears on the ribbon boards when Penn State records a takeaway? I almost put recovery, but I feel like that would have given it away. And this was our number 2 most missed question. AAA was the correct answer.
Okay. It was either this or the one I mentioned that I missed because I was like, remembered you talked about above the scoreboard and then above the entry and the ribbon board. So yeah.
All of these are travel/tourism bureaus are sponsors except for, and the correct answer was Myrtle Beach. New Jersey has an ad. Ocean City, Maryland has an ad, and Happy Valley Tourism Bureau has slower field ribbon boards that occasionally flash.
But Myrtle Beach is a sneaky solid option, right? Because of the connection with Altoona Curve through the years and even the spikes in terms of the Chuck Greenberg and the team in Myrtle Beach. That was good.
Which downtown Penn State apparel store has its logo shown on the ribbon boards? The correct answer was Family Clothesline. And then for our friends at Del Grosso's logo appears when Penn State crosses what yard line? And that, of course, is the Del Grosso's red zone, which is, of course, the 20-yard line. My wife put, what did she put?
Oh, not only did she get it wrong, you're going to let us know what she got wrong.
She put 10.
This will go well for you.
She put 10.
Okay.
She deserves
this will go well for you. Nice.
Yeah, thank you. She like the other wife and listening to this podcast is very behind. So
they're not going to get this part of the podcast.
No. Yeah, that's fine. They'll love us. Fine. Put all our time, energy. Okay. pick a number between 3. All right.
I don't know. You said 5. I thought it was gonna be 1 and 5.
No. Let's to be fair. Okay. Pick a number between 1 and 40.
Okay. 37.
You went over.
Can't go over. It was 1 and 40. I thought
right,
37.
Fine.
It's not
1
over.
and 30.
Our math is really weak in the show. 21.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
I don't know who this person is, so they're gonna get some stuff. You're gonna get an
there you
email.
go.
Be able to look out for your email if you got all of these right, or all but one of them right. Okay. I had a old guy, young guy. We went to TJ Maxx, Marshall's, one of those stores, one of the those types of stores. It was last week. It was early, but it wasn't too early. Or Halloween decorations. What I want to know and you know this because if you've watched the podcast, you know, like Halloween we put decorations up, and at Christmas we put decorations up. There will be plenty behind me this year. Does the Samsel family household put Halloween and Christmas decorations up? Like in the house?
Oh, in the house. Yeah. Halloween will be October 1st, probably.
Okay.
So yeah. Susan just restocked some stuff. She was mentioning we don't have enough Halloween stuff. I'm like, well, that's good. You can get it. Not October 1st yet. Should be putting it up in September. So yeah, and I assume with the arrival of more grandchildren visits, you know, especially maybe not trick or treat because they'll stay home, but like, yeah, I assume the amount of Halloween decorating will grow in the next couple of years. And Christmas is, if we have 30 bins of storage stuff in our house, just as a number, 20 of them, 2/3 of them are Christmas stuff. So there's not.
That's true.
It's kind of like a parlor game in January. Is like she'll leave some stuff out somewhere. She'll be like, "Oh, that's a snowman. That's a winter decoration." I'm like, "No, get that thing back away because it's going to make the weather cold outside." So like, there's always something hidden somewhere that I'm finding like late January, early February. I'm like, "No, get it away." So
those are January items in our household as well. Yeah. Okay. I was curious on that. That's it. Yeah, no,
So how many? Which ones? Halloween's Christmas is bigger than Halloween.
Christmas is bigger than Halloween, but
when does Halloween start?
Halloween we were just discussing because we were traveling on October 1st this year. Probably do it after we get back from UCLA. So, and then Christmas, that's still a contentious debate point every year. I personally would not like to have Christmas items up during Thanksgiving, but I don't control that.
You need to beef up your Thanksgiving stash then.
Do you do the other holidays? Like, do you like my grandmother does like Patriots Day and like St. Patrick's Day, but like the other St. Patrick's Day. Like it's there's decorations upon decorations.
We have usually St. Patrick's Day. There's a decent amount of like because you go from Christmas and there's not much. Maybe a little bit of Valentine's Day stuff, and that St. Patrick's Day gets a pretty good run. You know, because after Christmas and the New Year's, you get that for a pretty good run. I do national holidays, put the flag up outside. Like it's not up all the time, but put that up outside. Yeah, for the most part, summer's tough because it's lighter. I mean, we're just not. I mean, not, but it is lighter. It's just lighter in terms of holidays. I mean, July 4th gets some stuff more there, but the big ones are Christmas and probably Halloween. Thanksgiving gets screwed, although we have a decent cornucopia of Thanksgiving items. So there you
go. All right. That's this week's podcast. Thanks to Charlie for joining us. That was a great conversation. We have a busy week of content coming. Steve and I are gonna probably after this podcast, I said meeting, look at some things we've both been working on that'll kind of relate to cost of being a fan. That'll come out this week. I will have another piece about the fake Facebook AI. Talk to a expert on that coming out this week. Related to the fake Facebook pages going around. Then game preview and depth charts and all that stuff. And then, Saturday's a big day. Like I said, I'm very excited to hang out with Steve. Don't know what we're talking about yet. Have to figure that out. Probably figure that out about 15 minutes before the show, just like we do every night.
That's all it needs. We'll be good.
So we're trained professionals. Seriously, if you do want to stop over, please do. Bring a beer, bring a sign, bring some food, whatever. Bring a chair. You want to listen to us, or don't stand there.
Hopefully, you don't have to bring an umbrella. That's the big thing. We hope you don't have to bring.
It seems it was looking a little shaky there for a hot second, and now we look a little better. So yeah, I'm excited. Okay, that's everything. Website is called stuffsummersays.com. On that website, you can find a section called With Steve. 5 stars, thumbs up, all of that. Appreciate that. My email is Darian at stuffsummersays. Steve's is
Steve at stuffsummersays.com.
Perfect. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I keep forgetting the .com. Sorry. And you can find me on the internet at Stuff Summer Says. You can find Steve
at Steve Samsel.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.